We've got the 2025 season preview for the St Kilda Saints coming up. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome on in, everybody, to the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. We've got another banger here for you today. It's the 2025 season preview for the St Kilda Saints coming your way. Fresh new logo for the Saints, how they're going to go in 2025. We're going to be checking it all out, as we have done for most teams so far on the channel. We're working our way alphabetically through the clubs. This is the fourth last one, so they'll all be out by this weekend, by the end of this weekend. So go check out all the other ones. There's plenty there to look at. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to jump in the comments as well, and also let us know how the Saints are going to go in 2025. Big season for them. Can they bounce back? Can they get up there into the 8? We'll soon find out. Let's have a look at everything there is to know about St Kilda. So first of all, we look at their last season. That's the starting point for everything, isn't it? They finished 12th on the ladder, 11 and 12 for the season. It's a little bit of a false look, I guess, at what they did, because if you look at them with about 8-9 weeks to go when they had their bye, they were sitting 15th, I think, on the ladder, and a lot of games behind. They did finish strongly in that back half of the year. They did have, I think, 8 out of their last 9 games, or 7 of their last 8, or something along those lines, was at Marvel Stadium, and they really capitalised in that back half. So their best looked really good. They started the season with a decent performance against St Kilda. Against Geelong, sorry. Followed that up with a really good win against Collingwood, the reigning premiers at the time. And things looked good, and then they kind of fell off a lot and didn't look that good. Their offense was pretty poor. They didn't attack. They were in a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of bland-looking games, in all honesty. And it didn't look great. And then towards the end of the year, they started to attack a little bit more. Not quite as much as I would have liked to have seen. But they started to get some wins. Yeah, they were at Marvel a lot. But still, they got the job done multiple weeks, and they passed a few teams. Did drop them in the draft order a few spots over the last few weeks, but it's a big season for them. There's no doubt about it. If we look at their last 5, this is exactly why it is a big season for them. So 2020, they finished 6th on the ladder, 10 and 7. They made their way through to a semi-final where they lost. 2021, they fell backwards. They went to 10th, finished 10 and 12. So a bit of a disappointing result. Followed that up again the next year, got an extra win to 11 and 11, but finished 10th again. 2023, they worked their way back into the 8. They finished 6th on the ladder, 13 and 10. They did lose in an elimination final, though. So first week of finals, they were gone. And then, obviously, last year, they dropped back to 12th. So their last 5 years, they've gone 6, 10, 10, 6, 12, which is a sign that they kind of haven't bottomed out, but they also haven't really contended. Like, they're never fully out of it. Like, 6th on the ladder, you're more than a slight chance for a premiership. I mean, I don't think either of those years St Kilda were a realistic chance, but like Brisbane went from 5th last year on the ladder in the home and away season to winning the premiership. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility if you can make finals. But their issue is 3 out of the 5 years they haven't made finals, and they're just missing out. Like, they're not fully going to the bottom. They're just sitting in that middle range. Which, I mean, it could turn out fine for them. They've got plenty of talent. We'll get through onto that in a minute, but that is their major concern. It's just the fact that they're not fully going all the way and giving it a real shake towards the top, but they're also not bottoming out. So I don't know where that leaves them, I guess. We'll jump into their depth chart. So this is using my rankings for each player based on 2024 season. I've ranked every player in position by position. Top 10% are the elite players, so the other ones highlighted in blue. Top 50% is green players. Bottom 50% were yellow rated players, and then red are people that haven't played in the AFL football before. And then if there were any orange, I don't think there are for St Kilda, but they're players that have played AFL football before but did not play last year. So as you can see, we'll start with the key defender line. It's where we typically start most of the time. We've got Callum Wilkie. He was really good last year, there's no doubt about it. He was in the top 10 key defenders according to me. So well and truly in that green range. Great season. If he can do that again, it'll be huge for them. They did lose Josh Battle from this brigade, who also was in that green range. So that does hurt them quite a bit down back. It means they need to find somebody else to step up into that role, I guess. Obviously, Dougal Howard and Zane Cordy, not the most ready-made, I guess. They're not there yet. We haven't seen it from them over the last year, at least, certainly. That they're quite ready to be in that top 50%. I don't know. And then they've got a few young guys as well, Keela, Taru, and Barat. I think we'll see maybe Taru, maybe a couple of them throughout this season. They're going to have to find some key defenders, I think, because that's probably a little bit light on at the moment. Wilkie obviously is a really good player and has shown that last year, but I think he needs a little bit more support in that key defender role. Moving into their general defenders, Jack Sinclair was outstanding last year. He was 9th best general defender according to me. Rated in elite, his ball use is really good. He gets plenty of it. Sometimes maybe would like to see St Kilda attack a bit more, be a bit more daring with their disposals out of that back line. I feel like if they gave him a bit more free rein, maybe he could use that quite well. Wangani Malira, great season from him last year. We saw a lot of him off the half-back flank. Also a little bit of him on the wing at times, but his run and carry across the ground is really, really important for this team. So he was in the top 50% well and truly, and I think we'll see him potentially go to another level. I would not be surprised to see him as an elite general defender in 2025. He was outstanding last year, but I can see even more improvement this year. Liam Stocker, Jimmy Webster, I think they're role players. They're not going to be your best ball users and carriers and whatnot. Then Schoenmaker obviously debuted last season. I think we see a bit more from him in 2025 than we saw this year. But can he take that next step? We'll see. McLennan, a bit of the same story there. And then O'Connell and Armstrong. I don't know if we'll see too much of them, but maybe a little bit of a test at some point. Key forwards. This is kind of an exciting area for them. Mitch Owens could be also considered a key forward, I guess. He's tall enough, kind of plays that role at times. But we've got Max King, who I think at his best is certainly better than the 29th best key forward. I don't think he had a great season last year. I think we need to see more from him, though, this year. If St Kilda are going to be a genuine challenge, I think he needs to kick an extra 10-plus goals on what he did last year. The exciting thing, though, for St Kilda is Cooper Sharman. I have high hopes for this guy. He had a couple games last year that really excited me as a watcher. He's entertaining to watch. He looks like he's got a lot of talent, and from what I've seen in his pre-season, he looks like he's going well again. So look for him to be a big improver in this St Kilda forward line this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kick 40, 45 goals in 2025. And Kaminti, I think he's probably not going to be in their best team. I think King, Sharman, and Owens will be your three tallish players in that forward line, but we'll see how that plays out. Jumping into the general forwards, this is where they've got depth. There's no doubt about it. Some of these, though, are players that play multiple roles. You look at Bradley Hill, he's probably more of a winger than a general forward. But I guess he spent enough time forward last year to rate as a general forwarder. But yeah, he's going to be a wingman most of the time, certainly for big chunks of games. So he's really good at that role. His ball use is great. His speed is good. he's very handy. Jack Higgins, he's another one. He's a premiership player at Richmond, and now he's at St Kilda, and I guess it's a little bit of a, I won't say surprise that he ranked that high, but I didn't think his season that last year was that visually impressive. Like, there was a lot of times these games went under the radar a bit. But he kicked a match winner against Carlton late in the season. He is a really handy small forward, there's no doubt about it. He's always dangerous around the goals. So if he can replicate that season and you can get some more improvement from those around him, look for a good season from him. Mason Wood, he was good last year. We'll see another good year from him, I would imagine. Jack McRae coming over from the Bulldogs. This is an interesting one. He won't play general forward. He'll go straight into that midfield. And in all honesty, he will be huge for them in that midfield. Look for him to be getting more than 28 touches a game, I would say. He'll average over 28 disposals. He'll kick probably 10 to 15 goals for the season. He's going to be huge. The midfield we'll get to in a minute, but it probably does lack a little bit of depth at times. So bringing in a senior player like McRae over from the Bulldogs is going to be really beneficial for this St Kilda team, in my eyes at least. Darcy Wilson was really good last year. Mitch Owens, as we said, kind of more of a key forward than a general forward, but still certainly shown a bit of potential. Probably hasn't quite lived up to what we hope he'll be just yet, but there's plenty of time for that. Liam Henry, that's about where he is, I think. I don't think we'll see any real major improvement on that, but if he can perform in the top 50-odd general forwards, that's probably a pretty good year from him. Philippu's obviously starting the year injured, but look for him to really rise. There's been some big talk about him getting more responsibility and potentially really taking up a more advanced role for St Kilda this year. So if that's the case, look for him to really improve once he returns from injury. Jack Carroll, Dan Butler, obviously a senior head now for this St Kilda team. You'll see it much better than 116 from him in 2025, I think. Hugo Garcia has a lot of potential. We'll see a big improvement from him as well, I think. Lance Collard, probably low on the depth chart, as this would suggest. So they do have a lot of general forwards there and a lot that are pretty decent. So, I mean, a lot of them have to, maybe not a lot, but a couple of them have to be more that midfield role. And I think you'll see that. Mainly Bradley Hill, obviously, is a midfielder. He's a wingman. But like Jack McRae is the big one, and maybe one or two others will rotate through that midfield. Philippu, potentially Mason Wood, maybe. But that's where this St Kilda forward line is at. Jumping into their midfield, this is where they kind of lack depth from last year. You got Jack Steele, who's obviously their best midfielder week in, week out. Usually, he was ranked in that top 50%. He was 22nd. Expect another big season from him. He'll be thereabouts most weeks. Windhager, there's been a lot of hype about him. He's never quite taken that next step, but I think he's a lot better than 99th best midfielder. So if he can get a clean run at a season, no injuries, get all the games in, look for a better season from him. Hunter Clark, Ryan Burns, Zach Jones, all capable of being slightly higher, but I don't know about outstanding. Paddy Dow and Angus Hasty, though, I think we'll see both of those two improve this year. And then jumping into the midfielders that haven't played before, we got Hugh Boxall. Toby Trevalga will play. He'll get games from pretty early in the season. I don't know if he'll be in there for round one, but he certainly will be in there within a couple weeks. They might even give him a go first up. He looks like he's ready for AFL football. He was an early draft pick, and look, he looks like he's ready to go. So that will be huge for them, I think. Max Hall and Patrick Said. And then jumping into their ruck lineup, this is also another interesting point. Rowan Marshall was one of the best ruckmen in the competition last year, no doubt about it. I had him ranked 3. Arguably could have been 1 or 2 as well. Like, the top 3 all were really good. So when he's fit and firing, he will no doubt dominate the competition again in that ruck role. The issue is he's going in under a little bit of an injury cloud to start the season, which is obviously not ideal. They're still saying that he's going to be playing week 1. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But if he doesn't, then Max Heath is going to come in as the likely replacement, I would imagine. They will be wanting Marshall to be playing as many games as possible. Nothing against the other two, but we haven't seen him yet. Ruckman tend to take a little bit longer than most to develop, so I don't think they're quite ready to be like a number 1 Ruckman in a team. But I guess we'll see how that plays out. But I'd certainly be saying that they'll want Marshall playing as often as they can. And keeping him fit will be huge to keeping their chances alive, because if he goes down, they might be in some strife. Looking at the best 22, just a little side note, I did do this a few weeks ago, so things may have changed in my mind or in the mind of everybody, I guess, but this is how I did it a couple of weeks ago. Backline, Stocker, Howard, Webster, pretty self-explanatory. Half backline, Sinclair, Wilkie's their best defender, Nashaya, Wangani, Malira, their best 2 ball users out of that backline. Sinclair and Wangani Malira. Midfield, Wood, Clark and Bradley Hill obviously on the wing. Half forwards, Darcy Wilson, Cooper Sharman and Philippou. Full forward line of Higgins, King and Henry. Their starting midfield, I guess, Rowan Marshall, obviously their ruckman, Steele and McRae, I think will both be huge. Interchange Windhager, Zach Jones, Mitch Owens and Dan Butler, which leaves some really good talent in the not playing list. Shoalmaker, Caminti, Paddy Dow, Garcia, Travaglia and Ryan Burns, as well as some other good players. So I think overall this is a pretty solid list across the board for St Kilda. There's going to be a bit of competition, I think, for quite a few positions. I think we need to see more improvement from this midfield is their main thing. I want to see better ball use from their team, more attacking game style. Whether Ross the Boss line gives us that or not, I'm not 100% sure. In fact, I doubt he will, knowing his history. He never attacks, but yeah, they certainly, in my eyes, look a lot better when they attack. It was just funny last year when he copped a bit of abuse about their negative game style. So the next week he opened the gates, and they lost by 20 points, but it was a high-scoring game. I think it was like 100 to 120 against Brisbane, and he's like, "See, we don't win when we attack." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's the team that went on to win the premiership, Ross. Like, you can't just take one game against one of the better teams as, oh, it failed. Like, do it consistently and see what happens, because I think they will look a lot better. I'd like to see how some of these players, it would only benefit their forwards as well. Like, you're not really helping Max King by moving the ball slowly and not attacking, allowing the opposition to get back, and it really makes it hard for anyone in the forward line, but especially like a key forward that's not the biggest body ever. Like, he's tall, he's just not like built like some key forwards. So I think that's basically where I have St Kilda, in all honesty. Want to see improvement from them. I don't see it out of the realms of possibility for them to improve up into the 8, but we need to see something from them. A quick snapshot, I guess, of their 2025 season. They start the season in round 1 against Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. And I think, in all honesty, this might be one of the biggest games in the AFL in the first 2 weeks. Both teams kind of similar stories last year. Spent most of the year in that 14th, 15th spot on the ladder between them, just rotating. Late season, St Kilda did take that edge, won a few games late and ended up 12th, whereas Adelaide continued on where they were and finished 15th. It's just a story of two teams that are just on the edge, but both probably considering themselves a chance to go up. Like, I think Adelaide, certainly their supporters, have high hopes for improvement this season. St Kilda, probably similar story. So there's only so many teams that can improve. Some teams have to go backwards. Some have to stay still. It's just the way it works. But this game will be huge for that. A road game against Adelaide, if they win that, then their season's off to a great start. And all of a sudden, you start thinking maybe they are there. If they go over and lose that one, though, and don't look good, it's going to be a tough season again for them, in all honesty. Their buys come up in opening round. Obviously, they don't play. Their first game is round 1. And then also round 13 is their second bye. Or first bye, depending how you look at it, I guess. In gather round, which is round 5, they're playing GWS at Norwood Oval. Another one that won't be an easy game. I guess it doesn't count as a home or away game, so it doesn't really matter who you play. They do play GWS twice, though, throughout the season, and one of them is here. It's not going to be easy. There's no doubt about it. GWS are going to be good again. Teams that they play twice this year, so they've got Fremantle twice, Geelong twice, GWS, Melbourne, Richmond, and the Bulldogs. So, I mean, it's not the hardest schedule you'll see, in all honesty, nor should it be. They were a team that didn't finish in the 8. Geelong and GWS are the two teams that played finals last year. Oh, and Bulldogs, sorry. Missed the Bulldogs. The three teams, that played finals last year that they played twice. So GWS and Geelong both finished top 4. One of them lost in a semi, one in a prelim. And the Bulldogs obviously got knocked out in week 1 of the finals. So 3 pretty tough matchups there. Melbourne, they ended up passing on the ladder in the final week or so. So that's also a tough battle. Who knows what Melbourne are going to be like this year. Fremantle were expected to go up, so that could be a really tough doubleheader. Obviously, playing Fremantle in Melbourne, you should win, but if Fremantle are going as well as some people expect them to this year, that will still be a tough game. And then they do have the one easier matchup, which is the Richmond doubleheader. Any team that gets Richmond twice this year is probably going to be pretty happy with that. Not publicly. They won't say it publicly, I don't reckon, but inside the walls, I reckon they're pretty happy that they've got Richmond twice. So yeah, that's a little snapshot of their season. In all honesty, they're a team I can see getting better and improving. I do not think we'll see that happen though. It's, in my eyes, I think they're finishing about where they did again last year. Anywhere from 10 to 14, in all honesty. I'm not writing them off, as I said. I can see improvement from them. But I can see improvement from a lot of teams, and I've got a lot more confidence in some of the others. Those being Fremantle, Adelaide, Collingwood, are 3 teams that missed the finals that I think all have given me more confidence that they're going to improve. Whereas St Kilda, I just don't have that feeling at the moment. But we'll see how they start the season. Jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. Will they improve? Won't they improve? Who knows? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like. Hit that subscribe button. Do it for me. Do it for you. Plenty more content coming your way. Also, don't forget, check out the podcast. It goes live twice a week on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So go check that out. All Aussie Rules everywhere, all over social. All these team reviews will be out by Sunday. There's only a couple more to go. 3, in fact, after this one. So go check them all out. Let me know about all the teams. And I will catch you in the next video. So thanks for tuning in.